What if you could totally transform your classroom? I mean, really reach every single student, not just most of them. Well, today we're diving into a brand new guide from India's CBSE that gives you a practical roadmap to do exactly that. Let's jump in.
You know, if you're an educator, you know this feeling. You're standing there in front of a classroom just buzzing with potential, but there's that little voice in the back of your head, right? That question, am I really getting through to every single one of them? That's the challenge we're digging into.
And this quote, wow, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Think about that. You can have a full room, but that's not the same as having a room full of engaged minds. The real work, the hard work, is turning that physical presence into real active learning.
So, what if there was a way to bridge that gap? What if you had an actual roadmap, something practical to include every single learner? We're not talking about some fuzzy, feel-good idea. We're talking about a clear, step-by-step guide to make inclusion a real, everyday thing in your classroom.
Well, guess what? That roadmap actually exists. It's a new manual just out in April 2024 from India's Central Board of Secondary Education, the CBSE. And listen, this isn't just some dusty academic paper. It's a collection of real, hands-on strategies built for the classrooms we're teaching in today.
Okay, and this is super important to get. This guide isn't just some nice suggestion. It's actually built on the foundation of India's National Education Policy 2020 and the 2023 Curriculum Framework. So what does that mean? It means this is a huge shift. Inclusion is no longer an optional extra. It's a core, non-negotiable part of education now.
All right, so before we even get into the nitty-gritty of the roadmap, we have to talk about a really crucial mindset shift. It all starts here. It's all about understanding that there's a huge difference between treating everyone the same and actually being fair.
So what does an inclusive classroom actually look and feel like? Well, it really boils down to three simple, powerful things being true for every single student. 1, they're learning. 2, they're participating. And 3, and this one is so important, they feel respected and valued for who they are.
And this really spells it out, doesn't it? We're moving away from this old idea of just giving the same teaching to everybody. The new goal, the right goal, is to give the right teaching to each child. It's a complete flip in how we think about our job.
And this quote just says it all. I mean, think about it. Is it really fair to give every kid the exact same textbook if some of them can't read it at that level? Of course not. Real fairness is about giving each and every learner the specific tools they need to get to the finish line. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds great, but how do I actually do it? Well, that's where the toolkit comes in. The manual lays out some really powerful, practical strategies. Let's open up this educator's toolkit and see what's inside.
So it's really built around these 6 core best practices. You've got the child-centered approach, flexible teaching methods, universal design for learning, differentiated instruction, putting emotional safety first, and of course, collaborating with parents. They all kind of weave together, but let's zoom in on a few to really see how they work.
Now, this first one, it's a game changer. It's about changing the fundamental question we ask ourselves. We stop asking, what chapter do I need to teach today? And we start asking, what does this child right here in front of me need to learn right now? See the difference? It's huge.
And that leads right into being flexible. It's about having variety in your toolbox. So for any single concept, you're not just going to lecture. You're going to use visuals, tell stories, do hands-on activities. But here's the other side of the coin, and it's just as important. We let students show us what they've learned in different ways too. Maybe they draw it, maybe they say it, maybe they write it. It doesn't matter. They're all good ways to show they get it.
And when you have that kind of flexibility, you're naturally doing what's called differentiated instruction. It just means that in the same lesson, you can give your advanced kids those really tricky, higher-order thinking questions. For your average students, maybe some guided practice. And for those who are struggling a bit, you can break it down into simpler steps. It's like one destination, but everyone gets to take a path that works for them.
But here's the bottom line. You can have the best teaching strategies in the world, but none of them will work if this one thing is missing: emotional safety. It's the foundation of everything. Think about it. A kid who's feeling anxious or scared or like they don't belong, their brain just isn't available for learning. It's as simple as that.
And the last piece of this toolkit, it reminds us that our job doesn't stop at the classroom door. We've got to stop seeing parents as outsiders and start seeing them as our partners. They know their kids better than anyone. They're your best allies in this whole thing.
So All this theory is great, right? But what does it actually look like when a teacher puts it all together? Well, the guide shares this amazing story that really shows you the kind of transformation that's possible. So, picture this. A teacher has a student who's been labeled a slow learner. We've all seen that happen, right? A kid starts struggling, and pretty soon, they've got this label stuck to them. It's a familiar story, but it's what the teacher does next that changes everything.
Because instead of just accepting that label, she did something different. She had this aha moment and realized, wait a minute, maybe the problem isn't the child, maybe it's my strategy. She decided to change her approach, not try to fix the student. And look what she did. The strategies weren't crazy or complicated. She assigned the student a peer buddy. That's being child-centered. She started using a bunch of visual aids for tough concepts. That's flexible teaching. And she made a huge deal out of every small step forward, celebrating those little wins. That's creating emotional safety.
And that story just drives home the main point of this whole guide. The kid wasn't the problem. The rigid, one-size-fits-all system was the problem. The second the teacher changed the system around the child, that student started to fly.
So as we start to wrap this up, it's pretty clear this whole thing is about way more than just a checklist of teaching tricks, right? It's really about a deep fundamental shift in how we see our students and, honestly, how we see ourselves.
I mean, this next thought is just so powerful. That puts everything in perspective. It means that every little thing you do, explaining a problem, giving feedback, just smiling at a student, it's not just about the subject. You're literally building up a human being's sense of worth.
So where do you start? What's the one thing you can do tomorrow? The guide makes it simple. Just try this. When you walk into your classroom, make a real effort to see the child before you see their difficulty. See their smile, their curiosity, their personality. Then you can think about the challenges.
Because in the end, you can have all the rules and manuals in the world, and they're a great start, but this final quote says it all. An inclusive classroom is not built by rules. It is built by heart. It's that compassion, that dedication, that really creates a space where every kid feels like they truly finally belong.